What's going on, everyone? Welcome to Airbrush Down and Dirty Tricks Tuesday night pre-Thanksgiving edition. Let's see, we got some sound. Let's make sure we got sound. I think we do. Yeah. Hopefully it's not blowing everyone's ears out. Let's see how that looks for everyone. Might be a little peaky. Let's see if I can tone that down just a little bit. We'll just bring that down a little bit. That should be a little better. How about that? I think that'll be all right. Cool. Who do we got in the house tonight? We got a bunch of people in here. We got Jonathan Ray Shea, Darren Plank, Mike Cohen, Amos Mendez, Mike Zobo. What else we got in here? If I'm missing anyone, see if I can scroll back here. Swamp Picker, Brian Moore, Todd Keesley in the studio, Tater Salad. All right, I think we're doing all right. I think we got audio in check. I think we got video in check. Yeah. Okay, so before I go, everything sounds good. I have hit record. I am on air. The new system is working. I think my camera angle's all right. There we go. Yeah. I got a little. There we go. Yeah. There we go. I have, okay, folks, for those just joining us, as of last week, that was when I did the turkey skull, which is this guy here. We didn't quite finish it up. And so tonight, we are going to finish this baby up. That's going to be the plan. And I don't want to have that. There we go. Just don't want that visible on camera. Cool. So yeah, what was going on was I had my smaller system that's been down since July because my larger system that had all the multi-angles at once, that got a lightning strike and put an EMP through the house and took out some equipment. And that was one of them. It didn't go through the wires. It was an airborne. So it was awesome. Luckily, it didn't fry everything in the house, but it fried a piece of equipment. And a new one was available, but it wasn't out yet. So it just finally came in last week. So I have spent, that came in, I got it Friday. So from Friday till today, I didn't do much with it Friday. I picked away a little bit with it over the weekend. Then past 2 days has been complete rewiring, reworking. If you follow me on socials, you saw the wiring mess, and I rebuilt the whole system. And so now I can go to multiple camera angles. Here's one of the new angles we have here, which earlier today was on my GoPro, but for some reason my GoPro is not charging, so I put a different cam up. But this shows you kind of what I'm looking at over here, which is this basic control center, command center as some call it. So this just allows me to do a lot more stuff. So yeah, so 2.5, 3 days of work, a few $1,000s later, and we're back up and running. All for the love of you guys. And I hope you guys enjoy the new footage and new things we can do. And the other thing it allows me to do is the way the temporary system worked was I could only record what you see. So, you know, all the switching, that gets recorded and it's programmed. It's great. The other system, and now this new one is back, it records this and each camera independently. So I can go into post-edit later and pick any angle, any camera, any audio, and make it into a how-to video, which is always the goal. So it takes up a lot of bandwidth, a lot of space, but it's really cool. So other stuff I could do. Well, before I get to that, let's do because I reprogrammed all this stuff. Now I gotta see where all it is. So for those who don't know what my social medias are, these are all the social medias that you can get to. And these are all the lovely, I moved everything. These are all the lovely brands we like to use, the place we like to get it from. And we've gone through and I've made all the different ones for each thing. Yeah. There we go. Vision Air, Fisheye, all our lovely supporters that help us out. And the biggest supporters is all you guys, which is our Down and Dirty Tricksters. And as you know, all down Dirty Tricksters get 25% off McKay Fine Art, except for this week. For this week, oh shoot, I didn't. I have to do this manually because I was supposed to put a speed key in, and I did not. I knew I forgot something. So for this week, we have the Black Friday deals. We have Merry 30, which is going to get you 30% off, and Cyber Monday. Those both work right now, up until Monday evening at midnight. But for members, for all you down dirty tricksters who normally get 25% off, will get 40% off all digital downloads for the next week. So go get them downloads, all those vectors you wanted, 40% off for all you members. And there's some good stuff up there. So I got that going on. Yep, I think that's good. Yeah, I forgot to do that link. And the other thing that's on there, and this does not, digital downloads are discounted. I can do that. And on the 40% off, some limited edition prints are also 40% off, and a couple little things like that. But the other thing that I have is this little guy here. These, I just made them. I don't have a lot of margin on them, so they are at normal price. They're $12, not inexpensive, and it's the holder by itself, and that'll get you the holder, and I throw in some mixing cups. If you want the holder with the brass filter and some extra screens and some mixing cups, it's $20. So that's up on the store right now as well. And we've sold quite a few of them, which is great. So thank you guys for that. All right, let's get back to where I need to be. Reference image here. That was the reference image we were painting. And this is where we're at. We're at a good position right now. Make sure that's focused in pretty well. There we go. And then we have our top down, which is very nice. So you can see that. Everything looks good. Yeah, the nice thing, if this works, let's see if this works. Now I can do this. So now I can do multiple camera angles at once in a fixed screen, which is really cool. And I can also do this one here, which is also cool. And I think I had it set up, yeah, so I can play actually like stuff like this. You know, as a slideshow if I wanted to do something like that, which I think is kind of cool. And I can go here and play that here, or I can go back to this and do that. Just little things like that, which make it nicer. So you can see multiple angles at once. I'm going to play with a lot more stuff and a lot, different views. Let me see if I can brighten this one up a little bit. Yeah, there we go. That's better. All right. So what do we got going on here? Let's see. All right. So we all good? Everyone like that? Good. So now you can look at this the whole time. When I'm painting double screen, you can have a little extra entertainment slideshow in the background. But yeah. So I think everything's good. Let's talk about where we were at. Let's see if I can do this actually. Oops. Let me move this down a little bit. Just adjusting that overhead cam so we can go here. All right, so what's good here? Robert and Harris Cohen trying to catch up. Gary Shees. Oh, and Gary and Simon, Tater, Chris Garcia, Cheese Grits Lego. Thank you for earlier today. If you remember, you would have got the notification that I was doing I did the test feed today, and all those guys were in helping me out, and that's why we know the sound's good and everything's working. So this is what we started with. This was the paint I mixed up 2 weeks ago. This is basically, I got the recipes from Gerald, and we did a bunch of straining to make sure they're strained, and that's where this holder came up, because I ended up straining it, like each color, like 3 times through the brass, which is, the brass filters are a nice mesh. They're not ultra fine, but they're a nice mesh it'll go through. And then for the super straining, I use these plastic ones, these reusable ones. And guys, some people are confused. They see these like $7. They're like, oh, it's a lot for a disposable cup. They're not disposable. These last years, I got a couple that are a few years old. And you just rinse them out after each use, spray a little squirt bottle through them. They clean up really easy. But yeah, so that's how I made these nice colors, put them in glass bottles. And I got a nice white here with a 60-40 mix, so 60% paint, 40% reducer. I got a black, which is a 70-30 mix. And I got a gray, which is a 70-30 mix. And then I can cocktail from there. So these I made 2 weeks ago. And if you saw last week, this all sprayed really, really nice. Super nice, actually. Those I didn't have to tip dry. It just flowed great. So, and I got my airbrushes all set, so we should be good to go. So this week, I mean, this is all pretty much done. We're going to work on background. I got to work on the neck bones and then work on the feathers, and this is going to be a done piece. So I'm not sure if it's going to be a quite full 2 hours. That doesn't have to be. We're just going to get this thing worked out and go from there. So let's bring up the Takumi. And last week when I cleaned these out, I do my normal cleaning, and I got some cleaning videos. If you guys, check them out, just go to the channel. Whenever I clean, I never do a full teardown clean. I clean them and I put them away wet, which means after I clean them, I get a little bit of fluid in there. I always put a little bit of reducer or thinner, whatever I thin it with, in the cup. That way, if there happens to be any residue, it doesn't dry out. That's the key to keeping your airbrushes running super strong. All right, so we're going to go with our black here because we're pretty much doing the black. And I think I had a little, oh, you know what I did? I had the gray and I added a little black to it, just so it's a little bit. So I'm going to take my bottles and try to do this on camera so you guys can see. Get this mixed. Let me get my face off there. That's better. That's more fun. A little extra entertainment. And now we're going to put our black. And last week I made it pretty thin. So I just add a little extra 40-21. No, Harris, I am not done yet. I'm done with that attitude. Look at that, right out of the gate. Working really nice and strong. If you remember, we were doing a bunch of erasing. We were doing some scratching. We were doing scratching with the normal blades. We were doing one with the wider blade. Where did I put that one? Ah, right here. And I'll recap most of that stuff. Cool. All right, so we did mostly Fahrenheit everything, but I did have the, why is this not? Oh, there we go. I did do a paper cut of the initial drawing, which, let me see, can I bring that up? It might look a little, yeah, that kind of takes up some space, but let me just go. Let's just go here and see how that looks right now. Yeah, we'll just go big. This camera is moving a lot, and I don't know why. Huh. There we go. Okay. So remember, we used the paper, so I can come in, I can darken just some of these things up to aid in the freehand, so you don't have to be as worried. just so everyone knows, yeah, we won't be doing a Thursday feed. It is Thanksgiving Day. I will spend it with my family and friends, and as much as I love you all, yeah, I'm not spending Thanksgiving with you. Sorry. I love the big view the best. So, yeah, and I'll keep changing it up. This way I can go, 3/4, and I can actually probably get that a little closer. And then for certain things, the double angles are nicer. For these feeds, it's not as crucial. When I'm doing the graphics and stuff, the split feeds like this are a little fun. And it just gives you some extra options. And now with this newest switcher, I can bring in, I can now bring an iPad on screen. I can bring my computer in, so I start doing some digital work and start doing some digital how-tos. I can bring all that stuff in. And the other thing I can do now is I can plug in like my laptop, and I could bring a guest in like Steve Leahy or someone and bring a Zoom caller on the feed live and let them see it and me see it and you guys see it. So there's a bunch of stuff I can do, which I wasn't able to do for the past few months. So it's good. The biggest thing is I get each angle of the recording. That's the best part about this setup. Yes, thank you, Tater. You guys do too. All right. Just getting this all flowing. Do some extra reduction. There we go. So what I've been messing with is just getting the consistency right, so I get a nice line. I can shadow back. I think I want this a little grayer at this point. What's a name you haven't heard in a while? What'd I miss? What name? Yeah, this is the Takumi Micron that I'm using. Yep. Yes, it's the Micron version, not the Eclipse. I have both. I'm going to bring the Eclipse into the mix as well, because you have both here. Which there was a post a couple weeks ago that someone was really confused about the pictures. If anyone saw that thread, it's Steve Leahy. He's talking about Steve every week. He's been here every week. Almost every week. Name you haven't heard in a while. I'm just going to work this rib cage. So we're going to shade. We're going to do some erasing. We're going to move on to the feathers. Get this puppy done. So I'm working mostly in shades and tightening it up with some lines, but I'm not really trying to do line work. Like, it's not a t-shirt design. It's not like a tattoo design. So I'm trying to keep it more shading. Yeah, most Thursdays are racing during summer. Yeah, Steve's usually on Monday. He's on every Monday night. And then he has a bunch of other videos he pops in during the week. He does his 543 paintings and I'm gonna bring this, and we're gonna bring that gray in the mix. Oh, I am glad to finally get this thing up and running. Now it's running good. It took a lot of figuring out. They changed a bunch of stuff, and it was mostly the sound I had to worry about. Like, the sound was an issue. They changed the way they did stuff and where it goes. Which, the only thing that bothers me, unless I haven't just figured it out, I can't mute my mic if I need to all of a sudden. There used to be a button on the other one for that mic, but now it's pretty tricky to get to it. Like, I have to do this whole thing, and to be off now, it's back on. Off now, it's back on. So I can do it. It's just before it was much easier. Oh, good. I'm glad. Well, by doing this also, it gave me time to clean up some wiring, double check things, just make, some improvements to the overall system. And that was kind of the nice thing about, doing all that work. Yeah, and this one should send a signal. I think it's got a better encoder, so it should send a better video signal out. So when you look at things like that, it should be a lot easier to read, and stuff like that. So yeah. Go back to the reference image. There we go. Oh. Mostly the switcher system is designed to have someone working with you that can drive it, But since Kaylee is usually at school, actually, she just got back home today for the break. But I wasn't going to make her jump into this feed. Plus, I'd have to show her everything is again. It's been a while. Yeah, the video and audio on the 70 and the chat on the phone. Yeah, that works really good. Yeah, it's nice when you get that all synced up. Actually, some of my words are getting cut off. I gotta move the chat window just a little bit. There we go. Speaking of relaxation, cheers, guys. Hum, yum, yum. So do I have this? Oh, I do. Oh, and I don't know if any of you guys are watching that Welcome to Derry. But man, I wish I waited to do some Pennywise stuff because the new images of him, woof, awesome. Looks so good. Yeah, it's really, really cool. They have one where he's like an Uncle Sam. Oh, I want to paint that so bad. Ah, no, not Makers. This is Whistle Pig. Well, with the good stuff for right now. I'm happy I got this system done, so I cracked a little better of a bottle for the night. Because, damn it, I deserve it. Let's see, do I still have the feathers? Oh, I do. Just darken that up. See, that gives it that lift by putting that drop shadow. Now I can cut back through. Just slowly work them in. Get a little patterning to them. Let's see if we can grab a happy little stencil here. Do a little texture. Where's my little textures? There we go, a little texture. Just some darker sections, and then we'll I'm not going by anything visually, I'm just putting some patterns in there. And make the edge darker. And then when we put some white in there, it's really going to soften the feather up. Yeah, that'll look cool. Same thing with this one. Let's separate him from this back one. Because see how these are so similar? You almost can't tell the difference. So if I do this, make that back one a little darker overall, it's going to give this bigger middle one the lift it needs. Someone asked last week, best way to do feathers. There are some tricks to using, like the paper and the scratching, stuff like that. And I've shown some of that. I'll show a little more. But freehand control is definitely going to be your friend. They're actually really good practice once you start doing them, because you get really good at repetitive, tiny rat tails. Let me see if I can zoom in here a little tighter. Yeah. So see right here? You watch my finger, and it's just barely moving. I'm making, and usually, and I haven't needed to today, but I'm going to do a quick pick. I'm just going to do, because if you look on the needle, you can see a little bit of paint. I don't think it was really dry, but we'll just give it a check. Practice over here. There we go. So basically what I'm doing is each move, I'm not always painting on every move, but you can almost listen for a sec. I'll get my mic closer. I'm not, hear how you can almost hear it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull the trigger, pull the trigger, pull the trigger, and make the line. So I'm going to pull it. And I'm going to kind of get into a rhythm. Changing speed, how long. I'm going to come over here and do the same thing. Little dagger strokes, really little. Now you can do this with the Eclipse as well. The micron gets a little better in situations like this, but you can totally, I did it for years with the Eclipses, and you can totally do it. It just gets a little bit more turnkey with a micron. Make a pattern there. Go nice little leaves, feathers. Just giving it a pattern. So this is something, yeah, you can spend minutes in here, you can spend hours. So this is where customer budget comes into play. If it's a customer job, it's for you. Spend as much time as you want. You can always go like this and come in with a template like this and just make those edges a little crisper. And you'll get a nice, more defined line. Zoom back out. You need some wild turkey. Bleh. Not a fan of wild turkey. It's all right. Would you do a grizzly bear? Yeah, honestly, and I would probably start a darker background and then probably start doing the fur and white and then start adding browns in it. And again, you'd sit here and you just start doing fur. Different layers of fur. Little rat tail strokes. Then shade. So you can make it a little bigger. And we'll go in different directions. I won't outbid you. Gary's at his threshold for a little bit. I got so many cleared for him to send to him. Yeah, tonight would be a good night for someone else to snag an OG, an original. I mean, there's a couple of their higher end ones that are decent. I just don't like the basic one. JetFX, what's going on, man? Thank you for popping in, brother. Another fellow awesome airbrush artist and who makes awesome content, so definitely check his channel out. Thank you for popping in, man. We are getting ready for our Thanksgiving break, so I'm not doing this Thursday. I'm not doing a feed, so I hopped on tonight. Thank you for popping in. Let's go back over here. We got that. Yep, there we go. Yeah, for this video, yeah, I think the best is just that view. So yeah, I'm still working in that kind of mid. I haven't committed to fully dark. And I'm getting that kind of established. I'm going to go in now. I'm going to hit this. I think we're pretty good here. All right, let's break out the eraser for just a little bit. Bring out Mr. Electric. We're going to hit a little bit of highlighting on some of this stuff. A little highlight there. I'm going to highlight the kind of the leather wrappings. The very top edge of this. I guess it would be the cheekbone, really, because the jawbone would kind of click in there. Look at that really sharp, nice bright highlight there. Don't remember, we're going to bring the actual white paint in at some point. But you're going to get your biggest bang of crisp edges by using an eraser on this type of material. And this is a base-coated aluminum panel. It's white. You'll get the same effect on an illustration board, on canvas. Like right here, watch this coming out. Really popped out right there. Just had Eric Christmas drop my lap. What's your thoughts on a high detailed airbrush? So look, my workhorse is the Eclipse series. They're great all around. The microns are amazing. They are expensive and they are touchy and finicky, but they work amazing. If I wanted a really good upgraded brush, that's not going to break the bank, that's going to really pull lines, it's above an Eclipse, I would go with the HPC Plus model, because that moves you from, the Eclipse, which has a 0.35, floating fluid nozzle and head assembly. And that jumps you into the screw-in 0.30, which is much more exact. It's just a higher tolerance level, and you'll get finer, but you're not going down to that micron level where your paint has to be like dialed in so perfect. These are the nice, like super nice detail workhorse brush. Just that's if people have been into it for a while and they want something that's better, as far as consistent details, I would recommend the Plus series versus a Micron. I often talk people out of buying Microns because I love them. They're great, but they have a very unique purpose, and I think most people aren't going to use what they're for, and they get more bang for their buck. Or you could buy an Eclipse. You could buy an Eclipse and a Plus model for that, and still have all the details and the parts availability and support of Iwata. So that would be my recommendation. A lot of people also like the H&S Ultras. I think they're a great brush. I like them. And this is not personally how their trigger mechanism works. I don't love it that much for me on a feel. Performance level, they're amazing brushes, and that's where it just comes down to preference. If you're a detail guy, but detail, again, the Plus is going to give you the detail of the Micron in almost every instance except for a very split few. So it really depends on what type of paint you're running and how thin you like to run your paint, how low you like. What the Micron and any airbrush that's a clone or a copy or tries to be a Micron by, and a lot of brushes just throw a 0.18 nozzle on a brush that's not really designed for it. They also throw a 0.23. So they have a body that really only warrants a 3.5, but they throw in a 0.23 or 0.18 so they can say they're like a Micron, and they're really not. That's the most common thing now. A lot of these clones is they just throw a. They have a mediocre body and they just throw a small number nozzle in it, but they don't have the rest of the mechanics to back it up. So the Micron is really designed for ink-like consistencies. You want it to be like ink. Very rarely you run in. Yeah, that's a sweet deal. Yeah, when they blown out, because Hobby Lobby went from carrying quality brushes with parts availability to cheap Temu, basically $10 airbrushes, and I feel sorry for anyone who buys them. It's kind of sad. But if you like your paint like ink thin, not a lot of heavy coverage body to it, then Microns are great. If you want something you can run that type of paint plus heavier body opaques and more rich pigmented colors, then I would recommend going with the Plus or the Micron CM, the CMC, because that's a 0.23, and 0.23 is awesome. Okay, so that's cool there. I think that's good. Let me zoom this out just a hair more. There we go. Now I'm going to highlight here. But if you got the budget for a Micron and want one, you're not going to be disappointed in it. Just careful of all the other brushes that, like, oh, we have a 0.18 or a 0.23 nozzle just like a Micron. Yeah, but you got the body of a Harbor Freight, knockoff, and you just threw a small nozzle in, which the tolerances, if the bodies aren't built for that tolerances, then the brushes are really sloppy, is the problem. Yeah, so Michaels is now select Michaels. They're doing kind of a test. I'm hoping they kind of last, but retail for airbrushes is tough. Because most people going in to buy them will see the price, be like, oh, I'll get one that looks just like it. On Amazon for $50. Well, they don't know any better, and I don't blame them. It's really hard these days for people. But remember, there's more to the airbrush than the starting price. No matter what brush you buy, cheap or expensive, you're going to bend a needle, you're going to break a nozzle, you're going to have an issue here and there with it. And the other brands just don't have support. Or they don't have one place of support. Like even back then, I used Rich pens for years. But the problem with Rich pen is just like a lot of these other brands. There's only one place to get parts for. If that place happens to be out, you got nothing. You got no place to go. Yeah, that's the problem. Like, there's so much junk info out there that looks good, and the airbrushes look the part, man. And here's the thing, man. You get those brushes, the Galleria, whatever they're called, gonorrhea brushes, uh, and all that stuff. They're gonna work. Oh well, I guess some of those weren't so great out of the box either, but a lot of them work great out of the box. The telltale sign is how's it work after you take it apart 3 or 4 times and put it together? Because all that mismatched metal that isn't that great, that's when it starts to show its colors and where it doesn't work as good as it should. And they don't go back together well, you know. But they're good out of the box. I'm saying, oh, it's great. If you use them, like if you're just blowing some color here and there, it's fine. You know. Well, yeah, but see, the thing is, I'd rather tinker and polish a really good product and make it even better, versus a POS and try to make it work with hours of work. It can be a fun challenge. You know, it's like buying a piece of crap car and making it work. There's some fun to it, but sometimes you just want to be able to paint consistently. You know what I mean? So, oops. You know. I mean, I know the saying is you can't polish a turd, but you can, in fact, polish a turd. And airbrushing, a lot of people do. Yeah, and here's the thing on Amazon, man. And I've known people have gotten them. They think they're ordering Iwata parts from Iwata. Like, there's an Iwata store on Amazon. That is not Iwata themselves. That is some other third-party company that named their Amazon store Iwata, and they won't do anything about it. Like, Iwata's tried. It's not them. So you order from Amazon Iwata store, and you think you're getting a genuine, supplier, and you're probably getting genuine parts. I'm not saying you're getting fake parts, but there's no guarantee. And if you do get it from them, you really have no recourse. Like, I know Dave from Coast was dealing with it a lot, and a lot of stores were back in the day where, they're getting, oh, I bought these airbrushes and they don't work. Can you fix them? And their parts they're sending the brushes to Dave, and they're clones. They're fakes, and they're damn good fakes. Like they say Iwata, they look like Iwata. They're not. So I try to avoid that stuff. Bobby Silver, what's happening? Yeah, you shouldn't be afraid to take it out of the box. That brush is such a workhorse, you can just use it. It just works, and it keeps working. It keeps working. And if you do bend a needle, you can polish it and make it straight again. It'll take, dude, I got these brushes. Well, this I had 6 months before they were available. So this is a couple years old now. This thing is over 10 years old. And I put hundreds of jobs in it. And it works as good today as it does. So you shouldn't be afraid to dig them out. They just work. And they just work and work. I got a few brushes going back 25, almost 30 years. And they still work amazing. All right, so I think I'm good. But see, I got that to basically that level. Hey, Dan, how's it going? Dude, get those things out of the box. It's like buying a sports car and never taking it out. Come on. They get better when you use them. Both of your goal over this break to the holidays is use those damn brushes. Why would you return it? Use that thing. It's one of the best brushes you're ever going to use. And it's just going to work. Like, I've beaten this brush, taken it apart 1,000 times. I've left paint in this thing for weeks. Sure it is. You got the brush, might as well use it. And then you get the Takumi eclipses, which aren't that expensive, and those work amazing. Then you should just use it. Why torture yourself? Okay. Look, I'll go through. I'm going to do my white. Well, if I use it, I'll need a spare one. Why would you need a spare one? That's because you get too many cheap airbrushes. So you always got to worry about having a spare. So use a good brush, man. You'll be fine. All right, so I'm going to use, this is the Plus. So this is the HPC Plus, not a Micron. I got my 70-30 white that I mixed up here. It's not a preference thing on the performance. I do like, I've gotten accustomed to using the side feed Eclipse a lot more than my regular ones. Performance-wise, it doesn't matter. They perform exactly the same. It's really a feel. So look, this is a Plus model with white. I can get in there and do all those fine little white. No problem. Shoot, I'll do it with an Eclipse. Is the Eclipse Takumi? Nope, that's bleh. That I forgot I got gray in. This is the paint reduction debacle. Reduction's easy, man. Just anywhere from like 10% to start with the thicker brushes up to, 50% I would go. And what's the one key thing? And the reason I made them was not to sell them, because I could care less if you buy them or not. Strain the damn paint. That's why most people are having problems. They put paint out of the bottle directly in their airbrush. Then they add the reducer to the airbrush, and what you did is you just put thick paint in the nozzle. You put a reducer up here. Now it takes too long to mix, and you're frustrated. Or from the paint bottle, you got a little piece of dried paint or heavy pigment, and that's jammed up your nozzle before you get started. So, put the paint in a mixing cup, throw it in there, strain it into your brush, and you're good to go. It'll just work. So this is an Eclipse. The Eclipse will do the same lines. They're a little sloppier because the trigger pull, and this paint's kind of a little... this paint's mixed a little too thin for an Eclipse, but you can still do it. What's the highest reduction? That's a loaded question. But see what I mean? I can go in and I can do those same lines. It's just not quite as consistent. But if I'm doing bigger lines like this, totally fine. Where the microns and the pluses get is they're a little tighter on that initial trigger pull. So, I mean, for doing for glazes and non-structural stuff, I've gone up to 80%, 90%. I don't recommend really ever doing that. I typically work, for most of my stuff, Does reduction really matter as long as it sprays? Are we talking about colored glue? No, not at all. Nope, nope, nope. Reduction is key. Um, so it's not colored glue, so it's that works with paper, but it's got metal. So paper, I'm working on metal. Same process for paper. Metal just gives you some. It doesn't soak in, so you have to have a better bond. But that's really about it. Um, so reduction changes the atomization, so little droplets, and the binder. So like this paint's super thin. I can get it dark as long as I'm doing light coats. But if I want to get really dark fast, I leave it less reduced so it goes down faster and more opaque. And then as it starts getting thinner with reducer and then less pigment, you can start doing finer blends, finer lines. So reduction is key. Now, reduction changes with air pressure too. So you can run thicker paint through at higher pressure. So thick paint at 20 psi, will come out like crap. Like even if I was to turn this over. So I'm at 25 psi, which gives you this nice line. If I go up to 45, I can still do it, but it's going to blow out on me if I go slow. So I got to move faster. Okay, but see, it still stays wet because it's reduced. If I drop the pressure below 20, like down to 10, I can still do it, but if you look closer, it's a lot grainier. And if your paint was like super thick, it'd be doing this. It'd be really, really cloudy. But right now, add a drop of 40-50 and reduce the heck out of it. It would stick to anything now. Well, it depends if you need to. Like, so the Wicked colors already have the 40-50 basically built into it. 40-50 is a binder clear. Okay? It's a top coat. It's a UV clear that you can use on its own, or you can mix the colors. Now, the Wicked colors, for the most part, already have it in there. The 40-50 you can add to illustration colors, where illustration colors are designed to stay. Let me yes. So the way it works with water-based paints and acrylics like Createx, there's Createx colors, which is t-shirt and textile paint. You can put it on fabrics; it soaks into the fabric. But on hard surfaces like walls and metal and things that don't absorb, you want to add the 40-50, and that'll turn that into like a polyurethane. Basically, is what that will do. But by itself, it won't really bite into the metal. If you have enough adhesion and scuff, you can get it to work. But the 40-50 make it stickier and bond better because it makes it from a regular water-based acrylic resin to a water-based polyurethane. That's what the 40-50 does, and the 40-30 does the same thing. Illustration colors are like t-shirt paint, but they're much finer grained pigment for fine art illustration. And they're designed to stay malleable and soft for like 48 hours because their resin cap is designed to not harden and cure super hard for like 48 hours. That way you can scratch and you can soft erase and blend. And that's the illustration colors. They don't have a heavy bonding body to them. That's what illustration colors are. They're like a gouache or a watercolor or something like that. They stay open longer. If you add 40-50 to that, again, it turns it into a polyurethane, makes it dry faster, cure harder and faster, and bond to harder surfaces. That's what 40-50 and 40-30 does. I don't use the 40-30 much anymore. The 40-50 is my go-to. Now when you get into the Wicked line, the Wicked already has it built in. So the Wicked can go on textile or hard surface. Okay. And they have multiple versions of metallics and pearls and things like that. So you can add more of it, but you don't need to in most of the Wicked colors because it's already built in. Especially the opaques have a lot of it. It is confusing if you're new to it. It just depends. Like I'm in the automotive field and you want to talk about different chemicals, there's a million of different additives we use in automotive. So it's intercoat. It's exactly what it is. So you can use a 4050 as an intercoat, which is just like you finish some artwork, you want to lock it down. So you don't scratch it, you don't scuff it. You can intercoat clear it, just like an automotive. We use House of Color called SU100 intercoat clear. It's just a protective clear that's intermittent. That's not a final hardened clear coat. It's basically intercoat clear for the most part is just the color with no binder, which is the binders with no color in it, and it's just a way to protect and lock down your artwork. That way, especially if you're going to be taping to it a lot and you got a lot of fine blends, intercoat's good to kind of lock that down. It gives you that barrier, but you don't want to do a full hardened clear. Okay, that's kind of what the goal of intercoat. When the 4050 acts as an intercoat. 4050 can act as a final clear as well. They have the 4053, which is the high gloss. But yeah, there's just a lot. There's a lot of different things you can do. But reduction makes a big difference. Now you can over-reduce. You can over-reduce, and you get to a threshold point where you've weakened the structure of the binders. It's no longer going to bite. But if you already have a bunch of artwork and blends down there and you're doing some fine little wispy hairs and stuff on top, that's going to bite in because it's got a lot of reducers that's going to kind of melt itself in. But you wouldn't want to paint that reduction for anything structural. Okay. Yeah, so okay, I came in a set and I didn't know. Yeah. Yep. There's a lot. There's a lot to this stuff. I mean, I started as a t-shirt artist, man. I know. I started in the '80s, and all this stuff came afterwards. And the water-based stuff is newer. Up until early to mid 2000s, I was strictly solvent. I would use just water-based on t-shirts and maybe some wall murals. I wouldn't use it on hard surface. But over the years, it's developed into an amazing product. So, yeah, there's just a lot. You got a lot to learn. But I think the problem now with internet is people are like, oh no, you can just do this, or you can just use water to reduce your water-based. Biggest mistake people make. There's can and should. You can do it. It'll kind of work, but you just you're shooting yourself in the foot in the long run because you're losing the binders. And the reducers they're selling to you is not just water. Obviously, it's based in water, but there's a lot of other components in it that make the paint dry better, cure properly, cure faster, and become hard. Scott, yeah. Great inspiration while watching you guys. How to bend the rules. If you listen to the manufacturer, you can. Yeah, no, it's true, and that's the thing. I always tell people start with what they recommend and best practices because that's been tested and proven to work and bite and bond. Then you learn how you can bend it and stretch it. And yes, can you over-reduce it? Sure, but it's a but. So a manufacturer's not going to do the but. They're going to do this works and this is what we've tested it to do, period. And if you stick with this, it's going to work. That's their threshold. We go into, yeah, but you can do this. So yes, you can over-reduce, but you can't get high coverage in two coats anymore. And if you do that, it's going to be too wet and it's going to get brittle. But if you put down your other stuff and then you do over-reduced paint for detail, you're fine. Sarah was saying yesterday, Scott, so much. Yeah, no, and there's so much bad information in so many different places. And a lot of it's just done out of ignorance. Some's just done like, oh, you don't need to waste your money on that stuff and blah, blah, blah. And that's a lot of it too. And they people say they don't care if your paint job messes up. I care because I get too many damn emails about why this happened. But you start with that and then just like, for years with automotive paint, it's a 4-hour window for bonding. That's what the manufacturer tells you. So if you don't put clear coat on your base coat within 4 hours, we're not covering it. So if you spend a month doing artwork and for some reason it doesn't bite, you're out of luck. But we knew where we could bend the rules. We knew how if we put a clear coat over the base coat, sanded that with 600, nice heavy grit, the artwork, you could mess around with it for weeks and weeks and weeks and get a bite. Is there a little roll of the dice? Sure, but it's educated. But I'm not going to tell someone new to do it right out of the gate. Okay. Where was I? Here we go. All right, so now I got the white. This is the first time I'm using the white. Make sure we're good. I'm going to use it on the plus. How would Grosh work? Gouache works great, but it's super delicate. Like, you breathe on it, it scratches off. It's beautiful paint, super soft, atomized. It's basically watercolor. Steve Leahy did a whole thing on it. Because Steve used to use it a lot. And I actually, one of the first times I learned airbrushing was using gouache, whatever it's freaking called. And it's great, but man, you breathe on it wrong, it just goes away. So I wouldn't use it. Okay, so now I can come in here and I can add the white. Oops. You know, it's just there's better stuff out there to use than using that. So if you got something you can mess with it, I wouldn't use it as your painting medium. It's great at illustration board. Like I said, Steve did a whole thing on the benefit, using it and things like that. I wouldn't. Oil, I wouldn't. You can airbrush with oil. Giger used to a lot. It's really not good for you to begin with. So my needle's sticking on this plus model a little bit. There we go. You're better off, honestly, using like a watercolor. But, and going back to the 40-50, the other thing I left out was when I'm using candies, that's what you mix your candies with is the 40-50. That's the real benefit. And that makes it, super crisp and adorable. So we got a lot of little, we're going to put the little fuzzies here on the, I think I might have to reduce this some more. That could be why. Well, when you don't want to inhale charred animal bones and heavy earth minerals. Yeah. Yeah, and honestly, and most of the oils and shit you're buying in the stores is all yeah. Yeah, 40-50 is just because it's a beautiful like a UV binder. So that's what we use for mixing candies, which candies are basically like an ink. They just use an aniline dye versus a pigmented ink. But yeah, most of the oils and shit you're buying in the stores these days is all synthetic. You ain't buying ultramarine blue at Hobby Lobby for $20 or $8 for a tube. Because there's real ultramarine blue, it's about $80 for a little teeny tube. Because, to get the real thing, which it's ultramarine's mostly mined in Afghanistan, it's really hard to get or illegal. Not illegal, but they almost can't mine it right now. And there's other colors, which the raw versions are they're worth more than gold. So most of your colors you buy these days are synthetic. Which probably is worse for you. You're probably better off breathing in the earth minerals than the synthetic shit. Yeah, you know what? My plus, I did not clean it well. My needle is sticking. So I am going to switch back up. I need a mixing cup to dump my black into, which is already perfectly reduced where I need it. Yeah, and that's synthetic ultramarine. I think they might make a true version. Yeah, the purple is from Snail. I watched the whole thing on that a couple weeks ago. But yeah, most of the stuff you're getting in the stores is just synthetic, or it has some real elements and it's been mixed with. But not all. Some colors are just, like carbon black. They use, carbon deposit and other minerals. But it really comes down to 90% of the people won't know there's a difference. 90% of the people won't use it. Won't know it. And sometimes it's a status thing. It's like, oh, this was painted with actual ultramarine blue mined from so-and-so. This is painted by this carbon black, manufactured by so-and-so. And there's a benefit to using it. It's just like whiskeys. You can get cheap whiskeys and good whiskeys. And, for the most part, they all do the same job. And even like brands like Gold and Liquitex, they have different lines. They have their budget line, or $8 a tube, and then there's the $18 tube, and there's the $80 tube. I have another question. Can you airbrush detail on a graphic on top of? Sure. Yep, I've done it. Typically what I do on top of gold leaf and turned is I'll put the gold leaf down, spin it. I'll put an adhesion remover on it, then I'll put a clear coat on top of that. Sand that, and then I'll do the artwork on top of it. I think it's a better result. Just because you got to remember, gold, nothing really fully 100% bonds to gold. So you're going to want to, you start putting a little bit of ink on it, a little airbrush detail. It's barely holding on, so it becomes brittle to hold together when you do final clear it. So you're better off adhesion promoting over the gold, top coating it with clear and sanding it, and then doing all your detail on top. Yeah, and the turn leaf is better because it's got a scratch to it. But I still would clear it first. I wouldn't airbrush like candy details directly over the gold. I just wouldn't bother because you're ruining the bond. There we go. All right, let's get this fuzzy. You got to get the little fuzz. We'll make these tips nice and bright. I would use a 2K clear. I usually do because it's going to be a better bite and you can sand it. You can get away with inner coat, but I would just, for me, if I'm doing, especially if you're doing real gold and you're doing 23 karat leaf or 18 karat leaf, I would AP it. I like to use House of Colors AP01. I just like the way theirs works. Better than Bulldog and some of the other brands. And then I would clear it. Put a little details of those feathers. So see how you get that little bit of a blue shift, which is kind of cool at this point. A little soften. I almost give these bones a little transparent look. So it's not quite as stark as the erasing white. Oh yeah, yeah. No, I love. Yeah, like I said, I've done it a bunch of times with stuff over the years, and my best results were was using clear. Oh, want to know a trick? This will save you. This will save your life too. How many of you guys have cleared over gold leaf, then you tape over the gold leaf after you sanded it, and you pull the tape, and the clear comes off the gold leaf? How many times that happened? especially if you cut detail into the clear, because you probably cut the clear and sliced it a little bit. That happens. And anyone who has done it says it's never happened to was lying. Pro tip. I'll call myself a pro with this one. If you got gold leaf down and you've cleared it and sanded it and you got to do you want to mask over it, I avoid masking tape. I use, especially if I'm doing solvent, I use vinyl transfer tape, the paper kind. Okay. Because the nice thing about the paper kind, and I'll show you this, because we learned this for doing years of vinyl. When you put vinyl transfer tape down, if you pull it, it can pull like masking tape. It does pull a lot softer. You know, when you're on gold leaf, if you're going to use transfer tape, you got to get it off, do this. You can roll it off like this. And it's less chance of it pulling your gold leaf, delaminating, because releasing that surface tension. But the best thing to do is all you got to do with this stuff. And again, if you've airbrushed with water solvent based, once you've masked and you've sprayed and you've done your artwork with solvent, it's dry. All you got to do is spray it with water. Okay. And as soon as you spray it with water, this stuff, the water releases the glue and it slides off with no pull. It actually, by spraying water on this side of it, seeps through the paper, like parchment paper almost, and releases the glue. It's designed to do that because when we work on windows in cold weather, you get the vinyl on there because you use an application fluid to get the vinyl on. And you try to pull the transfer tape off and the vinyl keeps coming off the window. So what you do is let it sit for a second, you shoot this with water, and it literally just slides off. And the wetter it gets, the softer the more that glue releases. Okay, so that's kind of a pro tip that I learned. If you got a mask on top of gold leaf, use vinyl transfer tape. It's your best friend. And even if you're using water-based, use it because you can kind of moisten it, or you can spray a little like reducer, like mist it, and then you can kind of slide that off. It works. Yeah, the paper tape, man. Saved me so many times. Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, it's huge. Yep. And Rob, that's how I learned it, because I used to work at a sign shop, and I learned about, if you worked at a sign shop, make sure you put vinyl on a cold vehicle in the winter or moist glass. And anytime you try to pull that transfer tape, the vinyl comes with it. But if you wet that transfer tape, it just slides right off. And I'm just using that white, adding a little extra texture. That'll kind of ghost over it a little bit, and that kind of gives it that transparent feel. So watch right here, because it looks good, but now watch this. I'm going to add a little texture to it. So it gets a little extra texture, and then I'm going to just glaze over it. And the bone almost gets that transparent kind of feel to it. Like a little bit of light will come through. It just helps sell it. A little bit here. Take this, will highlight. It doesn't work with the clear. No, that's why. Yeah, that's why I said the paper. Don't use the clear stuff. So that stuff will rip your. That stuff will definitely rip your gold off. You clear off your gold. Even the 1875 clear I like. But those clear transfer tapes have a lot of freaking bite to them. They really, really do. All right, what do we got here? What time we got? I don't even know what time it is. So it's 9. Yeah, just about finished up here. All right, I think I just got to fix right here. Got a little blowout there. Back to my plus. I put the black in the plus right now because I can use the white out of the micron. And I'm just going to go back and kind of balance some stuff out. I'm trying to think if I should do a pinstripe color around this. Nobody bid on it, so it's basically my choice now. Just do a little bit of texture. But my main reason for doing this is not to paint a turkey skull. It's to kind of give you a breakdown of how to mix a nice black and gray and work with those. Yeah, man, I'm in New England. We get the same brutal winters. So very familiar. And yes, I've been out putting vinyl up and that shit. Because you can't not work all winter. You just figure out ways to do it. All right, what color striping should we do around the edge? Let's do... It's fall. No, it's fine. It's not a first. It happens from time to time. Let's see. Let's do orange. Yeah, I'm not fast or good with a pinstripe brush. So for these panels, I just do this. That's fine because I'll just put this in the, we'll just put it in a pile and it'll go. Whoops, got a little goopy there. Yeah, man, that's why we do this. Yeah, keep it as a hobby. Full time, it's a grind. And here's some little grit. Yeah, I'll put it up on the site eventually. I'll probably put it up next week. These are pretty quick ones and cheap ones. Oh! I need to get a stronger magnet for that because I've done that way too many times. I usually magnet the back of the panel. There we go. Yeah, I'm not going to do purple. I think I might add a little brown, though. Give it that fall feel. A kid doing spaceship. Yeah, Christmas around the corner. I'll put up some of these. I got a few I did. It's funny, the turkey one I did last year, the turkey vulture one, that one didn't sell either. So I think the rule is I'm not going to do turkey stuff anymore. Because last year, this one's still available. I got to put these on the site. This was the turkey vulture one I did last year. You know, that one's still available. So I think we'll put these on the site. Oh, you seeing a horse? Yeah, I do kind of see the horse. The head coming down. Do some ears. The head, the mane, the body. Yeah, ground. No, I didn't see it, but now I see it. Doro doesn't know what to do. Every president pardons the turkeys. I want to see one that can eat them once. Yeah, I got that one. I got the Dirk the Daring one. We got a few that are up and available. Actually, I'll put them up before the holidays, so if anyone's interested, we'll have some panels that are pretty entry-level priced. We go here. Go here. Did the vampire girl so quick? Yeah, no, that was gone. All right. So, kids, that is the final piece. It's fun. It's a good project. Finally got to test out all the new equipment, which is great. Really loved it. Just reading everything. Did I miss anything? Nope, we're good. So I think the system's working good. The sound's good. Video, picture quality is good. The new effects and camera angles are going to make it cool because I can do stuff that I couldn't do. And they got everything recorded, so that's good. So I can do a lot with this stuff. So it's awesome. All right, guys. It is 9:29, hour and a half feed to finish this up. So this was a 3.5 hour painting from start to finish with all the discussion. But again, that was a nice thing about mixing up these colors, super thin. And just everything flowed perfectly the whole time. And don't forget, you can get in, grab one of these little strainers. That makes your life a lot damn easier. And those are available now. And obviously all the digital downloads and all the other stuff. And that's it. I am going to pour another glass and relax for the evening, get ready for Turkey Day weekend. So thank you everyone for checking out the feed. Like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff. Share it. Definitely go back and comment. That helps the algorithm. And let me know if there's other stuff you want to see. We have the channel. And you guys can message me ideas and let us know what you want to see. We got a couple more weeks left in this year. Probably only got maybe one more painting in for the year, maybe two. And we'll be in 2026. So it'll be great. Have a good one, guys. Thanks. Have a good evening. Peace.